Okay, let me just record. Okay, so before we start our meeting for today, is there anyone who has a question or clarification so far with our topic last meeting or regarding with the laboratories? Anyone? All right, so I guess none. Okay, so if you guys don't have a question, so let's now start with the last module. So Visual Basic, Looping, Data File, and then Error Handling. So for the these three topics, we will only focus on the very first one, which is the basic looping. And then if we still have time, well, we still have time, but I want to give that time to you guys as your time to finish the laboratories, which I gave you, Lab 9 and Lab 10. So I'm not really sure if you will still discuss data file and then error handling. But if we still have plenty of time, then why not? Okay. But for now, let's focus on discussing the visual basic looping. Okay. All right, so without a further ado, let's start. So what is visual basic looping? So it is used for operations that are repeated for some number of times. So from the word looping, we have a loop, we have iterations, okay? But of course, it will only loop or it will only repeat itself if the condition were met, okay? So loop repeats until some specified condition at the beginning or end of the loop is met, okay? And we have three types actually. Okay, and then this one type is has four variations. So let's just say that we have a total of six loopings. Okay, six looping structures. So to make it simple, okay, so do you guys still remember the if statement that we have discussed last meeting? So this one actually has a counterpart, right? Which is the select case statement. Okay, so like what I mentioned last meeting, whatever you can do on the if statement, it can be also done on the select case statement or vice versa. Okay, so the same case with the looping statements. Okay, so whatever you can do with the do loop variations, okay, you can also do that one on the for loop variations. Okay, that's the same with while loop variations. Okay, the same with whatever we have on these variations for this do loop right here. So okay, let me just make it bigger. So in here, in under do loop variations, so this is just a syntax which is made for do loops, okay, or do whiles or do untils, and then this is another syntax which is called for loop, okay, and then another syntax which is called while loop, okay. So again, this is quite the same with the if statement and then select case statement. So whatever you can do with this one do loop variation, it can be also done with the for loop statement. Okay, the same with the while loop statement. Okay, and vice versa. Okay, they just have different syntax. Okay, so since you guys are still learning, so you really need to understand all of them. However, what once you are now doing a certain project, a certain program, you can just focus with one topic, with one syntax. Let's say the do while loop statement. So you can just memorize this one and then ignore the others to avoid confusion. Okay, so that's a thing that I could give to you as you are learning a way of doing things. So it's just a matter of choosing your own style, your own way, okay, or your own preference of programming things. Okay, all right. So without a further delay, let me show to you guys the syntaxes. Okay, but before that, we actually have pre-test loops and then post-test loops. So coming from its name itself, it's quite obvious. When we say pre-test, the condition is at the very first. So it will be, tested first before you can proceed to the looping statement or the body of the loop. Okay, so if we have pre-test, we also have post-test, wherein from its name itself, uh, is trying to say. So the condition is at the very end of the line. All right. So if our VB will read this one, okay, so this one will actually be read, started from the condition, going back, I mean, going inside to its body, and then we'll end it to its loop ending statement. So it's quite the same with the post test. However, it will be read from the very last and then going back to the body and then going back to its first line. So it's quite confusing, but that's basically how VB reads when it comes to the syntaxes. Okay, so supposedly it's from top to bottom, but there are some cases like uh, it can be read from bottom to top. Okay, so yeah, that's it for pretest. It's just a matter of uh, putting your condition. So it could be at the top or it could be at the bottom. All right, and then we have here the four types of pretest. So we have do while loop, do until loop, while, and then for next. Okay, so you don't need to memorize that one for now. So just familiarize the maybe the pattern that you can think of. Then for the post test, we only have two. Okay, which is the do loop while and then the do loop until. Okay, so the first one right here, the do while, is your first line, and then after the dash, okay, it is now the uh, uh, ending statement or the ending line of this do while right here. Okay, so we have an ending of loop, ending of loop, ending of end while we have a starting point of while, and then we have an ending of next, and then starting of for. Okay, the same with this one. But in post test, so we have you only have just do, okay, for the first line, and then for the last line we have loop while, okay, and then for the uh, until, so we have do still at the very first, but at the very end we have loop until. Okay, so this is the pattern that I can give to you guys. If we have loop while or loop until at the very end, that's already post test, and then the rest are pre-test. Okay. So again, when we say pretest, the condition is at the very first of the line. When we say post-test, it's at the very end of the line, okay, of this structure. All right, so here are their syntaxes. Okay, so again, no need to memorize, just familiarize, okay, and then just know the concept, just know the logic behind what's happening. So we have the do while loop structure and then do until loop structure. So the first thing that you will see is both of them are pretest structure, because as you guys can see, the condition is at the very first line of the looping structure. Same with this one. Okay, it's just that when we say while, okay, your condition must be true before you can execute your body of the loop. Okay, and then and you see until, it's now the opposite, okay, opposite of this while right here. So if we have true, then your condition must be false before it will execute the body of loop right here. Okay, so when we say while, you must have a true condition. When we say until, you must have a false condition. Okay, so that's the only thing that I could uh, make this one simple as ever. Okay, when say while, true. When say until, false. And then the rest are the same. Okay, so I hope you guys got this one. So did you guys get the idea so far? Okay, great. One, two, three. What about the others? Did you guys get this one? Well, that's okay if you're quite confused right now. So don't worry, we'll have a lot of examples regarding with do while, do until, and so on and so forth. So in here, if we have pre-test, of course, we also have post-test. Okay. So for the post-test, we still have the same. It's just that the condition is at the very end of the line. So again, when we say while, your condition must be true before it will execute your body of the loop. Okay. And then when we say until, so you must have a false condition before you can execute your body of the loop. Okay. So again, this one is the same with this one. It's just that the syntax or arrangement of the things in here are different. Okay, so pre-test and then post-test. So remember, we only have two post-tests. So the next two are also pre-test, just a different syntax again. Okay, so we have while and while. Okay, so while and while is also true. Okay, so you must have a true condition before you can execute this one. And then for the for next structure, so in here it's quite uh, not weird. It's quite different, okay, with the others. So in here you can see that there is a pattern already, like you're already seeing their similarities, but in here it has a different structure. Okay, so as you guys can see, if you wanted to use for next structure, so for and then followed by the variable that we have declared above it, and then the initial let's say number, okay, and then the final number. So when we say 1 to 5, then it will loop 5 times, okay, and then step value and then the statements that you wanted to execute in here for how many times, okay, and then whatever is the variable name in here should be the same with this one right here. Okay, so I hope you guys are getting the idea. So yeah, that's it for this syntaxes. So I am not requiring you guys to memorize this one. Just familiarize, just know the logic and what is happening right here. What is the difference of this one to this one, and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay. So let's have an actual example. So as you guys can see in this exercise number one, it's asking us to display sequence of numbers from 1 to 5 using message box. Okay. So here's the sample output. And then here are the codes, the solution. So we have the solution for the do while, solution for do until. So this one is for the pre-test, and this one is for the post-test. So loop while, loop until, and then the while and while, okay, and then the for next structure, okay. So again, whatever you can do in here can be also done on the other structure. So basically, those codes right here will just give us the same result, okay. So you can just memorize one, you can just familiarize one and then disregard the others. But then again, since you are still learning, then you have to do everything, okay? So if it's asking you to code this one using do while, then you have to do it using do while. If it's asking you to program that one using do loop until, then you have to use the syntax of do loop until, unless you will get 0, okay? So that's the thing about learning. Well, anyway, so let me just show this one to you guys. So wait a second. Exercise number one. So if ever that you have a question, so just raise your hand, okay? Then I'll try to answer your question. Okay, so in here I only need one component, okay? Just like what we have in here. So just a start loop button. And then if I click that button, the message box will pop out. Oh wait, okay, before starting this one, let me just check the code. Do while, why. So this one must be 1 to 5, so less than, and this one is incrementing by 1. Okay, right, good. Okay, so let me just show to you guys the output for now, and then we'll discuss the code later. Okay, so if I click calculate, okay, so it will give me the first value, okay. So as you guys can see right here, the initial value is 1. So that's the reason why I have here the value is 1. Okay, it's coming from right here. Message box, the value is, and then I concatenated the variable y. So whatever is the value of this y right here will be displayed as a string, okay, or as a number. So if I click OK, okay, it became 2. Why? That's because of this incrementation code right here. So as you guys can see, it's incrementing by 1. So whatever is the previous value of my y will be incremented by 1. Okay? So this is now the second loop. Okay? And then one thing that you will notice, okay, so this is the second loop, third loop, fourth loop, and then fifth loop. But once I click once more, it will not show me anything anymore. Why? That's because your condition now is false. Okay? So 5 plus 1 is 6. So if you're going to take a look at this one, so 6 is less than or equal to 5. So 6 is actually greater. So this one is already false. So once this one became false, then that's the time that the loop will stop. Okay? So again, take note when I say while, this will only loop, okay, or this will only keep on executing if we have a true condition. But if you have already, let's see, a false condition, then it will not loop anymore. All right. So that's the reason why you only have 1 to 5 right here. So this is basically this will basically loop 5 times. Okay. So are you guys getting the idea so far? Okay. What about the others? Okay. Great. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So this is just with the use of while. What about if we're going to use this structure until? Okay, so just change this one into until, and then take note that we are still using the pre-test structure since the condition is at the very first of the looping structure. Okay, so since we're using until, so this must be false before it will execute. Okay, so we're going to start with 1. So 1 is less than or equal to 5. So that's actually true. So we have to invert this one. So y is greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so in here, initially 1 is not greater than or equal to 5. So that's false. So it will still loop. And then incremented by 1. So 2 is not actually greater than 5, so it's still false, so it will still loop. Anyway, let me just show to you guys the result. So if I will click calculate, so the first one is 1 of course, followed by 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Oops, I have to remove this one because 5 is already equal to 5. Okay, let's go back right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. But once it reached the value of 6, so 6 is now greater than 5, which is now true. Okay, so that is now the time that it will stop looping. Because again, when we say until, it will only loop if we have a false condition. Okay, so did you guys get this one so far using until structure? All right, so just be careful on what structure you're going to use. So is it while, is it until, is it for next, is it while and while? Okay, so I've just demonstrated the pretest structure. Let's now use the post-test. So all I need to do, okay, is cut this one and then put it right here. Okay, so we now have a post-test structure. Oops, let me just stop this one. All right. So the idea is still the same. So let's use while for now. So we must have a true condition. Y must be less than or equal to 5. Okay. So everything is still the same. It's just that the condition is now at the very end of the looping structure. So let me show the result of this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. But then once it reached 6, 6 now is greater than 5, okay, which will make this one false already. So that's the time that it will stop looping, okay. But if I will use until, then your condition must be false. So y is greater than 5. Okay, so if I click start, it will still give me the same result. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So once it reach 6, so 6 is now greater than 5, which will make the statement true. So that's the time that it will stop looping. Okay, so did you guys get the idea so far? So you should have already understood the, logic of looping statement. Okay, because if not, you'll be having a hard time in understanding the following exercises, okay, or the following examples. So if ever that you have a question, so feel free to ask me right now, so we can, you know, make a remedy with your problem or confusion right now. Okay, none. So just really hope that most of you have understood this one. Anyway, so that's it for the post test. Let's now proceed to the, oops, right here. Let's now proceed to the while and then for next structure. So for the do while. So it's quite the same with do while. It's just that you have to remove that do right there and then replace it to while only. And this loop right here will become end while. Okay, and then for the statement inside, so it's still the same. So y must be less than or equal to 5. So while also require true condition. Okay, so in here it will also give us the same result. So 1, 2, 3, 4. My bad. It's up to 4 only. This one must have an equal sign. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then it will stop looping because 6 now is not less than or equal to 5. Okay. And then for the for next structure, so everything is pretty much the same aside from the starting point and then the ending point. So for y, okay, let me just check. Yeah, for y is equal to 1 to 5. Okay, and then next y. For y is equal to 1 to 5. And then basically we have a step value right here. So if I will not put anything beside it, so by default it will increment by 1. Sorry, I have to remove this one because we don't need that incrementation since it's already in here. Okay, so by default it will increment. Okay, it will increment by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so if you wanted it to increment by 2, then you must put it right here. Let's say step 2. So instead of plus 1, it's now plus 2. So 1, 3, and then 5. Then stop looping. So the same with the let's say while structure. Do while. Let's just say do while. Okay, let's remove this one. Then do while y is less than or equal to 5. So if you wanted this one to increment, let's say by 2, then just change this one into 2. Okay, so you can have the same result like 1, 3, and then 5. Okay, all right, so did you guys get the idea so far using those 6 different structures? You guys sure? No problem? No issues? No clarifications? All right, so if there's really none, then let's now proceed to exercise number 2. Okay, so in here, it's just that the initial value is different from our last example, and then the same with the final value is different from our first example. But everything is pretty much the same. Okay, so it will still increment by 1. We're still displaying the content into our message box, and then we're just showing on how to do that one on different syntaxes. Okay, we have the pre-test, and then we have the post-test, and then we have the using while and while, and then using the for next. Okay, so I will just do, okay, the do while, and then I will let you guys do the others since it will give us the same results anyway. So in here, we're going to use, we're going to start with 10 instead of 1, followed by 25. So it will loop from 10 to 25, and then it will only increment by 1. So, okay, just wait a second. So if I click this one as expected, it will give us a value of 10, and then it will increment by 1 until it reach the value of 25. Okay, and then 26 will now stop looping. All right. So if you will change the incrementation value into 5, then it will increment by 5. So 10, 15, 20, and then 25. So 10, 15, 20, and then 25. Okay. So did you guys get this one so far? For the exercise number 2? Am I too fast or just the right uh, pace? Hello, hello, hello. So mabilis pa ako or sakto lang? Baka di kayo nakakasunod. Okay, sige. Hindi ko alam kung anong feedback nyo. Anyway, alright, so that's it for the exercise number 2. And then for the exercise number 3, okay, so we can also do this one. So we have a higher initial value and then a lower final value. But of course, instead of incrementing it, so we're going to decrement the value every loop. So instead of plus, we'll make it minus. So again, I will still use do while, and then I will let you guys do the others. So starting from 25, and then right here is 10. So this one must be greater than or equal. Okay, and then I'm going to decrement this one by 1. So in here, we will start with 25, and then it will decrement by 1 until it will reach the value of 10. 4, 3, 2, 1, up to 10. Then after that, it will stop looping. Okay, so again, you can also change the value of your decrementing value to by 5. So you can have 25, 20, 15, and then 10. Okay, 25, 20, 15, and then 10. Okay, so I hope you guys were able to get the idea with this one on what are things that you can change, okay, what are things that you cannot do, and so on and so forth. Okay, all right, so any questions so far regarding with our exercises 1, 2, 3? Okay, so I assume that none, since no one is speaking or raising their hand. So for the exercise number 4, or actually your turn, okay, this is now your quiz number 6. Okay, so yeah, this is already your last quiz. So just write codes that print all the odd numbers from 1 to 50 using the do while loop structure. So when we say print, you're going to display the one using a list box. Okay, so I will give you an option. So either list box or a message box. So you can you can do them either of those two. So it's either list box or message box, the one that we are using right here. Okay, so what important is you're displaying odd numbers from 1 to 50. And then take note, we're going to use the do while loop structure. Okay, so if you use do until loop, then you will get 0 since you didn't follow the correct instruction. Okay, so are we clear so far regarding with your quiz number 6 right here? 6 quiz. Wala pang due date. Okay. Let me just put the due date of this one. So June 18. Let's maximize. Oops. Entry file upload. So you guys have more than a week to do this one. Alright, so that's it for your quiz number 6. So any questions so far up to this point? Okay, so I guess none. So let's now move on to the exercise number 4. So write codes that compute the squares and cubes of the integers from 1 to 10 with the following output. So we have here the expected output. So we have the number 1 to 10 and their equivalent as squared numbers and then their cube, okay, numbers. So let's say the 5 cube is equal to 125 and then the 5 squared is 25. So the same with the other numbers. So 10 squared is 100 and then 10 cubed is 1000. So all we need is two components. So the button and then the list box. So let me just show this one to you guys. Exercise number 4. Alright, so in here we have the two components, the compute button and then the list box itself. And then how did I put those headers in there, or the title, number, square, and then cube? So just go to the properties of this list box and then proceed to items and then collection. Then you will see right here the hard-coded text of number, square, and then cube. Okay, so just hit OK and then those texts will pop out right here. Alright, so what we need to program is the compute button. So in here I just declared 3 variables. Okay, the number, which is the first column, okay, wherein we have equated that one to 1, so the starting value is already 1. And then we have the squared and then the cube for the second and third column. Okay, so how do we compute for the squared? So just raise the number to 2. The same with cube. So how do we get the result of cube? So just cube the number. Okay, so this is now the one thing that may be new to you guys. So we're going to display, okay, the output onto the list box. So before we're just using text boxes, label, what else? Yeah, those two only. But right now we're going to display them, we're going to display the result inside the list box. So to do that one, just get the name of that list box. So list box 1 that items that add, okay, and then we're going to display here the results for the first column, which is the number right here, and then followed by end, bb tab, and then end. So end is concatenation. We're just basically combining the number and then the squared. But before we can combine them, I've added another function right here, which is called bb tab. So it's quite similar. It's quite similar with our Word or with Microsoft Word, when we press tab or with the notepad. So where is my Microsoft Word? Right here. Okay, so let's create a new one, blank document. Okay, so just wait a second. Alright, so in here, if I click space, it will give me 1 space, of course. But if I click tab, okay, so notice that it's like giving me 5 spaces. Okay, so that's the same with the VB tab. So it's like having 5 spaces so that the result on the first column will not, uh, sit side by side with the result on the square. So initially we have the result right here and then 5 spaces and then the result right here. Okay, that's the function of the VB tab. Okay, the same with this one, another 5 spaces after the squared, and then followed by the cube result. And then it's incrementing by 1, and then it will only stop. Okay, let me just change this one into 11 since we have 1 to 10 only. Okay, it will only stop once this one became true. Okay, because we're using until. So let me show to you guys the result. So yeah, there you go. So 1 to 10, 1 to 100, and then 1 to 1000. Okay, so since we don't have enough time anymore, we'll just continue the rest on the part 2. So goodbye for now and see you guys later.
Later.
Goodbye. We can finish for this module. All right, so let me just check. Okay, just give me a thumbs up if you guys are already ready or prepared. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. At least 70% of you are already in front of the computer. Okay, so for the exercise number 4, here's the result. Okay, well, of course, you can play with it. So you can, loop until 101. So we can loop 1 to 100. So if I click compute, it will display up to 100. Okay, so 99 has a square root of 9801. 99 has a cube value of 97,029. So it seems that it doesn't fit the values. So let me just make this one a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's try that one more time. There we go. Okay, so 970,299. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the exercise number 4. So do you guys have a question so far? So you can also change this one into incrementing value by 5. Questions or clarification, guys? So there you go. It's incrementing by 5. Okay. So, for this kind of examples, especially if you cannot understand it, just by reading, just by, looking at it. So I highly suggest that you do this one, you do this one with your own visual, basic or visual studio. Okay, and then make it work on your own. So try to change some of the values, try to change some of the variables, try to change the initial value, and so on and so forth. Okay, so with that, you'll be able to appreciate, what's really happening with this example. So yeah, that's it for this example right here. So here's the solution. Okay, you can just copy that one and then just make some changes if necessary, especially if the name of the components are not the same. Okay, and then here's the solution using while. Okay, while because the one that we're using before, okay, is do loop until. Okay, but this is the syntax or the code for the while structure. Okay, and then for the next example, okay, write codes that print the degree Celsius from 5 to 45. So the first thing that you guys would like to know maybe is the formula, okay, on how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, so for us to be able to know the correct formula, so we can ask Mr. Google. So he knows a lot of things. Mr. Google, what is the formula from Celsius to Fahrenheit? Okay, Cel to Fa formula. So there you go. For you to be able to get the Fahrenheit, so just multiply the Celsius to 1.8 or 9 divided by 5 and then add 32. Okay, so that's how we convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So going back to our program, let me just show to you guys the ready-made your turn Celsius to Fahrenheit. So the ready-made program for the your turn activity. So supposedly this will be, another quiz of yours, but since uh, I'm not really sure if you guys have plenty of time or enough time to finish all of those activities which I'm giving to you guys. So I decided not to include this one anymore. So I just decided to include a very, very simple uh, quiz. Okay, it's just displaying add numbers from 1 to 50. Anyway, so yeah, this is now the code for the Celsius Fahrenheit. But before that, let me just show to you the components. So we just need the button and then the list box. So in here, for you to be able to put the names right here for the Celsius and then Fahrenheit, so just go to the properties of this list box and then go to collection, and then you can hard code the Celsius and then Fahrenheit right here. Just hit OK, and then you now have the Celsius and Fahrenheit right here. Okay, so yeah, okay, just wait a second. There you go. Okay, so the one that we need to program is compute. Okay, so just double click that one and Simeon. Yes. Do you guys have a question so far? Okay. All right. So here's the code for the Celsius to Fahrenheit. So basically, I just declared two variables. So one for Cel and then another one for Fahrenheit. So our initial value is 5. So where this one came from? It came from the instruction. Okay, right here. So from 5 to 45. And then it says here that uh, there is a step 5. Okay, meaning it will leap every 5, or it will jump every 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 until you will reach the value of 45. Okay, so going back to our program, so we now have here the initial value and then the ending value. Okay, so just make your statement correct. Since we're using while, then this must be true. Okay, so once this one became false, then that's the time that it will stop looping. So 5 is less than 45, so it's true, so it will loop. Next one is 10, so 10 is less than 45, so it will loop until you reach the value of 50, which will make this one false. Okay, so we have here incrementing value of 5, and then here's the formula, okay, on how to convert the Celsius into Fahrenheit. So the one that I use is the 9 over 5, not the 1.8. Okay, so cell times 9 divided by 5, and then add 32 or plus 32. Okay, and then again, here's where we are going to display the result. So the first one is of course the Celsius, that is the first column, followed by the Fahrenheit. Uh, excuse me. Uh, uh, all right, great. So again, we have here the Celsius and then followed by the Fahrenheit. Okay, but then there is an additional called format. So I believe that I have already used this one many times with my past examples before, but then maybe this is your first time encountering the word F. So when we say F, it stands for fix. So when we say fix, it will only get the two decimals of that Fahrenheit result. Okay, so in here, it will give us two decimals, even though it doesn't really have a decimal. Okay, so I'll show to you guys the result later on. But yeah, that's how we display the result for the Celsius and Fahrenheit. Okay, so let me just show to you guys the sample output, the working sample output. So 5, 10, 15 until 45, and then the converted value or the equivalent value of 5, which is 41 Fahrenheit, and then 10 is to 50 Fahrenheit, and then 40 is 100, 45 is 113. So as you guys can see, we have 0.00 in everything. Okay, because we have here a format fixed value. It will display two decimals whatever happens, okay, even though it doesn't really have a decimal. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this activity. So did you guys get this one so far? Just at least the idea. Okay, so as long as you're getting the idea, I think you're good to go. You don't really need to understand this 100%. Okay, since you cannot really you know understand this one in just one sit. Okay, you have to do a lot of experiments, you have to do a lot of explorations, analysis before you can fully understand what's really happening with this code right here. Okay, but if you can understand it fully, then congrats, maybe you're a genius when it comes to programming. All right, so that's it for this your turn activity. Let's now proceed to the exercise number 5. So the bank charges 12%, so it's 12% interest, simple interest on the amount per annum, okay, per year. So write a program that allows the user to input the amount loan and number of years to pay. Compute and display the lump sum amount for each year. Okay, so just to give you a short idea, so every year, this company charging is charging 12%, okay, of your amount that you have borrowed. So if you borrow 30,500, if you wanted to pay it in 1 year, so you have to pay 12% of that 30,500, which is 4,000 something, okay, wherein you're going now to pay 34,160 in total, okay. So that's per year. So if you're going to pay that one in 7 years, so if we're going to use our calculator, so 12% times 7 years. So they have now earned 84% of your original borrowed amount of money. Okay. So you are now like paying 56,120, okay, in 7 years. So it's like they have earned 20, yeah, 26,000, okay, from the original money that you have borrowed. So yeah, of course, the longer of years that you're going to pay your uh, loan, of course, the higher the interest that they will earn from you. All right, so here's how they compute the amount that you're going to pay in total. So we have the amount is equal to P, which is the amount to loan. Okay, that's the principal amount times 1 plus R times T. So our R is a fixed value of 12% or 0.12. And then T is depending on your input right here. Okay, that's the number of years you wanted to pay the amount that you have borrowed. All right, so here's the code for this one. So feel free to copy this one and paste it on your own Visual Basic, and then make this one work, and then try to make some changes with the formula. Try to maybe change the variables, change the interest rate instead of 12%, make it maybe 3% to make it more realistic, okay? Or 1% maybe, because that's now the amount or interest that banks are charging nowadays. 1% or 3% or 2%. So correct me if I'm wrong because I've never loaned e-money, but as far as I know, it's around 1 to 3%, depending on the bank. Okay. All right. So let me just show to you guys the sample working program of that one. Uh, what is that one? Exercise number 5. Okay, so again, if ever that you have a question, so feel free to ask me. Okay, anytime, just raise your hand. So whatever we have on the interface, I just made it as the same as possible. Okay, I have two labels, a button, two text box, and then a list box. So in here, okay, as you guys can see, we have a label of year and then amount per year. Notice that I didn't put anything on my collection. Okay, I don't actually have a header or a title like the year and then the amount. Okay, that's because I have put it inside of my code. Okay, for the header or for the title, I have included it in here, wherein I put here list box one that items add, and then I hard coded the word here, and then NVB tab. So again, it will give me 5 spaces, okay, to the next text, which is amount per year. Okay, so that's it for the title. So I just basically declare the necessary variables, so amount, P, T, and then R, which is already equated to 0.12 because it has a fixed value. Okay, And then of course we will start with 1. So this is the year. Okay, this is the minimum. Okay, that will be displayed right here. Okay, so you won't be able to borrow a money if you wanted to pay it maybe in 6 months. So the minimum is maybe, yeah, maybe you can pay that within that year, but of course you're still going to pay the entire year interest fee. Okay, so it will not be deducted if even though you paid before the due date of that year. So it will be already considered as a count of 1 year. Okay, so in here we have the formula. Okay, whatever is being put in here. Okay, I just make it as the same as possible. Okay, which is now the same as 1. And then I will display the result inside the list box. Okay, so the first column is of course the year, okay, which is T, and then followed by the amount. Okay, wherein I added another uh, things, let's say the dollar sign, and then I formatted the result format into fixed. Again, it will get 2 decimals only. All right, and then it's incrementing by 1 depending on the years that you have put in here. So if I click start, so let's say we wanted to borrow an amount of money of 100,000, and then you're willing to pay that one in 3 years. Okay, so they have an interest of 36% of this one. So we expect to pay 136,000 in total. So calculate. So there you go. So first year, so 12% only, which is 12,000. 2 years is of course 24 percent of interest, which is 124. And then for the last one is 136. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this example. So were you guys able to follow? Okay, great. What about the others? You guys have the questions or clarifications that you would like to ask? All right, so I guess none. So yeah, that's it for this example. Again, I highly suggest you guys to recreate this one, make this one work on your own Visual Studio, and then try to make some changes, etc., etc. Try to experiment and then explore. Okay, so that's it for exercise number 5. Let's now proceed to exercise number 6. So this is another another computation, automatic computation for you to be able to borrow money, and then another computation for monthly, the annuity, and then the total contribution. So a bank offers a car loan at the rate of 15% compounded monthly. Okay, so write a program allowing the user to input for the loan amount of the car and the period of years to pay. So compute and display the monthly payments to amortize the loan and determine the total amount at the end of the period. So in here, we have the computation of interest wherein it's divided by 12. Okay, well that's because we are having an interest monthly. Okay, and in here the compounded interest is a fixed 15% or 0.15. So just do the math and then you'll be able to get the specific interest, okay, depending on the years. Okay, and then for the years right here, number of years to pay. So since we are talking about months, then it will be multiplied by 12. Well, of course, if you put here 1, then it's a total of 12 months. If you put here 2, then that's a total of 24 months. So it's just basically being multiplied by 12. Okay, whatever is your input in here. And then for the amount to loan, right here, the letter A, okay, and then how we compute the total contribution for the letter B. So we have this formula right here, okay. However, there is actually a correction regarding with this formula. So this denominator must be at the top, okay, at your numerator. And then this numerator of yours right here should be at the bottom, okay. So just interchange those two. Numerator will go to denominator, and then denominator will go to numerator. Okay, so yeah, that's the only correction. We have here this the code, working code of that one, and let me show to you guys the working program of that sample. Mm, step number 6. Yeah, is this it? Yeah, this one. All right, so I just simply copied the code from this example. Okay, so whatever I have right here right now is quite the same with this one. Okay, it's just that the name of list box is not the same with mine, since the one that I'm using is uh, the normal or the default name of my list box. So in this example, it was already modified. Okay, the same with numeric up down. So in my case, it's still numeric up down one. All right. So again, for the title, okay, so I didn't put the title in here because they are actually hard coded. Okay, in this code right here, you have the month, the annuity, and then the total. All right, and then here's how we compute the amortization. So again, just interchange those two right here, and then you will get the same result as being shown in here. Okay, so let's go back on my code. And then here's now how I display the items on my list box. Okay, so the first column is M, okay, which is the initial value, which is 1. So this is the year, okay, followed by the amortization. So amortization is being solved right here using this formula. And then total amount is being uh, displayed using this formula. So whatever is the previous amount will just be added with the amortization, okay, that you have calculated in here. And it's incrementing by 1. And then yeah, that's it for the code of that or of this example. So let me show to you guys the working program of this one. So let's say we wanted to borrow an amount of, let's say, 100,000 again. Okay, and then I'm again willing to pay that one in 2 years. So a total of 24 months. So compute annuity. So my monthly payment is 4,448. So until I reached a value of 116,369. Okay, so it's like they have a profit of 16,000. Okay, because what I borrowed is 100,000 with an interest rate of 15%. Okay, every year. Then this is what they will earn. Just deduct 100,000 from that. All right. So yeah, that's it for this exercise number 6. So I hope you guys got the idea, okay, or the logic behind this one and what is really happening. So question so far. So what can you guys say regarding with this example? Exercise number 6. Is it just fine, quite hard, or it's really, really complicated?
Quite fine.
Quite hard. Okay, not that complicated, but quite hard. Anyway, so again, you won't be able to understand this one just by looking at it, okay, and then just by showing to you whatever is a working program. So for you to be able to fully understand this one, it must be you, okay, to experience it on your own on what is really happening with this code. So try to change this one, try to change this one, and so on and so forth. Okay. So yeah, that's it for the exercise number 6. And then let's now proceed to the sit break. Okay. So write a code that prints the angles in degrees from 0 to 80. Okay. So step 10 and its equivalent sine and tangent in regions as follow. Okay. We have the expected result, something like this. So if you're not that familiar with sine and then tangent, so I highly suggest you guys to go back with the module 7, because that is a part where I have discussed on how to convert degrees to radians to degree, okay, using sine, using tangent, using cotangent, using cosine, okay. So let me just show you guys the working program, this one. All right. So in here, it is asking us to convert the degree, okay, 0 to 80 degree into a radian. So if you wanted to convert that number or that degree into a radian, you have to multiply that number by mat.pi divided by 180. Okay, and whatever is the calculated value, that's already the radian result of that degree. Okay, so it's not just mat.sign and then enclosed by number. Okay, so it should be multiplied to mat.pi divided by 180. So in here, we're just formatting whatever is the result of this one into 4 decimals. So I'm basically um, showing an output with a 4 decimal result. Okay, so here is the formula for the sine, and then here is the formula for the tangent. Okay, so we have the initial value and then the final value, and then it says here that it has a step 10, so it's incrementing by 10. So that is why we have num plus 10 right here, and then we are displaying the results on the list box 1. Okay, so number first, followed by the sine and then the tangent. So let me show to you guys the working program of this one. So compute, we have 0 to 80, and then 0 to 0.98, and then 0 to 0, yeah, 5.667. Okay, so yeah, and then let's try to compare if they are really the same or no. So yeah, they're the same, aside from the decimals right here. So this is not like the fixed value, okay, but yeah, close enough. So did you guys get this one so far? So again, if ever that you have a question, so just ask me, okay? Feel free to ask me whatever that you have in your mind. Okay. So if you guys don't have a question, so again, I highly suggest to you that you must do this one on your own Visual Basic. So try to recreate this one, okay? And then try to edit, try to change some values, try to change the variables, etc., etc. Okay. So that's it for this sit break. And then moving on with the data grid view. So again, to make it simple, so we are using list box from slide to 23. Okay. So right now, let's use data grid view. So list box is just a plain box, okay, which can list characters or elements inside of it. But in data grid view, this one is super the same with list box. However, this one is much more, let's see, advanced. Okay, it has more features that it can offer to you. Okay, so in here, for the data grid view, it allowed the user to add rows, it allowed the user to delete rows. Okay, you can modify the columns, rows, you can edit it, you can multi-select, you can show the column headers, you can even show the row headers. Okay, so those are the additional features that you can have if you're going to use data grid view. Okay, so let's have this example. So we have the 1 to 10 and then the squared of it and then the cube of it. So we'll use this example to show that this one is a lot more better than using just a list box. So we have the formula in here. So let me just show you guys the working program of that one. Oops, let's stop this one for now and then open a project. Mm, Data grid view. Data grid view, yeah. Data grid view, squares, and then cubes. Okay. So what I did, I just simply copied this one, whatever we have, what components we have in here. So I also have that one in here. So we have the button and then the data grid view. It's just that there's an additional button wherein we can retrieve whatever we have inside of our data grid view. Okay, which is also discussed right here. Okay, here's how you retrieve the data from data grid view. So the first column, I mean row, okay, is cell 0. The second one is 1. The third one is 2. Okay, and then we're displaying that one inside a message box. Well, you can display that one inside of another data grid view or inside of a list box. But in here, we're displaying the result inside of a message box. Well, anyway, so again, the one that we need to program is this button right here. So here's the code. So notice that in data grid view, okay, we don't need to add the header anymore, okay, right here, since it's already on this code right here. So it's quite the same with the list box. You can hard code the header or the title, okay, inside of the coding section. So for the first column, we have the number. Second column is a square, and then third column is cube. So let's skip this one for now. I'll discuss what is the function of this dot clear function later on. Okay, so we started with 1, okay, and then ended with 10. And then here's how we compute for the square. Here's how we compute for the cube. And then we are displaying, okay, the result on the data grid view. Okay, so take note, for the title, we have dot columns, but for the results, we have dot rows. Okay, so before we're using VB tab, okay, and then the and symbol for the concatenation, but in here we don't need those anymore. Okay, all you need to do is put the variable for the result on the first column, second column, and then third column. Okay, but take note, this one is in rows, okay, because it's being displayed by row. Okay, and then for the button two, so whatever we have in here, just copy this one. Okay, and we are just simply retrieving the value inside of our data grid. All right, so let me show to you guys the result of this one. So if I click this one, it will give me the same result just like before. But right now we now have a uh, row lines. I mean, like the divider, okay, row divider and then column divider. So we have here the row header and then the column header. Okay, so you can actually remove them if you want, but it's highly advisable that they must stay there. Okay, especially if you're let's say pinpointing some columns. It has an arrow right here. Okay, and then notice that there is an additional row right here. So it actually has a purpose so that once we reach this row right here, we already know that that's the end of the line of this data grid view. Okay, so in here, if we wanted to retrieve the value, so all we need to do is click this one, and then it will show to me the row 0, okay, which is 111, row 1, 2, 4, 8, until the final row, which is this one. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So this is the second to the last row, and then it will still read the final row, which will give me a value of 0, 0, 0. So again, once we reach the value of 0, this is an indicator that it is already the final row of this data grid view right here. Okay, so yeah, you can of course edit this one. Okay, you can delete, but you have to activate that one on the properties. But editing, so it's quite easy. Just double click and then you can edit that one. Okay, and then you can even change the so it's like in Excel format. It's like this. There you go. Okay. yeah, those are the things that you can do with data grid view. All right, so did you guys get the idea so far using a data grid view? Right, so only two. What about the others? Okay, so I hope you guys can follow at least a little. Well, I'm not expecting you guys to understand everything, in one shot. Just at least have an idea of 50%, 40%. That's already plenty, especially in programming. Okay, so we will stop here for now. Okay, and then we'll just continue this assignment next meeting, which is tomorrow. Okay, so we now only have 1 minute left. So if ever that you have a question, so it is now your chance to ask. Okay, if ever that you have a question in your mind. But if none, just give me a thumbs up and then you may now go. Okay, let's just meet again tomorrow.
Sir,
So goodbye and thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Chat box po.
Okay. So may kaklase po kami na di raw ma-DL ang Visual Studio. So, dapat ako yung kinakausap niya. Uh, ikaw ba yun? Miss niya, ano? I think meron ka naman eh. So, tell him that he can message me so I can guide him. Okay? So, ako na lang yung i-message niya. Agad-agad. Hello, Miss Rani Ann. Okay, sabihin mo, huwag siya mahihiya. Napaka-friendly ko eh. Hindi naman ako makain eh. I mean, hindi naman ako makain ng tao. Kumakain ako ng pagkain. Okay? Well, anyway, okay, so goodbye and again, thank you.
Bye, sir.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
sir.
Sarap
Kinakain
talaga
mo.
ulam ko, Miss Renian. Sana ikaw din.
Ay,
Sir, hindi ko kumakain ng tao,
Alright. Okay. Okay. So can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before we proceed to the assignment, okay. So do you guys have a question so far, or concerns or clarifications? Anyone? Okay. So it seems that no one of you has a question. So let's now proceed to the slide 28. So let me just open my Visual Studio. So as I'm saying yesterday, so we will only finish the looping part. So we will not proceed to the input and output, okay, and then the catching error, or is that error handling? Okay, we will not proceed to that one anymore, okay, because we don't have that much meetings left. So I would like you guys to use the remaining two meetings this coming Friday and Saturday, because as far as I know, the start of your final exam is this coming June 15 already, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 15, 16, 17. Or if not, I think it's 16, 17, 18. I'm not really sure, but your final exam is already on this coming uh, next week. Okay. All right. So don't you guys worry, we now only have a few more slides left. So after maybe two parts of meeting, and that's already it. We will not be having a part three anymore. All right. So let's answer this assignment right here. Assignment, I think it's this one. Okay, so in this assignment, so write the code for each item that produces table of x and y values for the following. So in here, we're just going to simply display or print the values for x and y's. Okay, so for the x, we already have the values, which is 5, okay, to 10. So it's incrementing by 5. So we expect 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and so on and so forth until we reach the maximum value of 10. Okay, and then for the y, okay, so this is where we solve for the value of y. So let's say the value of your x is 5. What is the result of y? If the value of x is 5.5, what is the value of y? Something like that. Okay, so we will display that one using a looping statement. All right, so let me just delete this one. So in here, we're going to display them, okay, inside of a data grid view. Well, you can also display them using a list box, but in my case, I will display them inside a data grid view, okay? So I just declared two variables, okay? So the x and y, and then we have this function clear so that we can clear the items inside of the data grid view. So every time that you will click this button, it will clear first before it will display the items inside. Okay, so we don't want the values to be overlapping with the next values. All right, so again for this one, when we say columns, data grid view dot columns, it is the title. Okay, so we have here the header or the title, the x and y, and then the first parameter is the values below it. Okay, so of course the title is x, so we need the values of x. Okay, wherein it will be coming from this x right here. So we have to change this one since the initial value is 5 and then the ending value is 10. And this one is correct since it is incrementing by 0.5. Okay, and this is the only thing that we need to put. Okay, which is coming from here, the formula of y. So it's 3 times x raised to 5. So let's put that one for now. 3 times x raised to 5 minus 3 times x raised to 3. Okay, and then plus x. All right, and then for this one data grid view that rows, so this is where we are displaying, okay, the values each row. So the first one is of course x, which will be displayed on the first column, and then the second row is y, I mean second column is y, which will be displayed on the second column. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this example letter A, or number one. Example number one, or assignment number one. Okay, so for the components, so I just have two components, the button and then the data grid view. So let's test this program. Okay, so just wait a second. All right, so if I click compute, it will display here the values of x, which is from 5 to 10, and then their values, respective values. If we have the value 5 using this formula, okay, we'll get 9,005. If we have 5.5, we'll get 14,604.91, and so on and so forth, okay, up to 10. All right, so yeah, that's how we answer this assignment right here. And then for the number 2, so all we need to do is change the starting point, which is now 1 and then 3, and then change the formula, okay, which is 1 plus x squared divided by 2, and so on and so forth. So let's try to answer number 2. So this one is ranging from 1 to 3. So starting from 1 and then ending on 3. And then the formula is 1 plus x, 1 plus x plus x squared divided by, so let me copy this one, plus x cubed divided by 6. So x cubed divided by 6 plus x raised to 4 divided by 24. So 4 and then 24. Okay, and then the rest are the same. Okay, for the incrementation, so it's still 0.5, so we don't need to change this one anymore. So let's test this program. So for you to be able to verify the values of y, so you can use your calculator, of course. Okay, so if we have, let's say 1, is this correct? If we have 1.5, is this correct? And so on and so forth. Okay, so you can try the experiment wherein you can, of course, uh, let's see, increase the ceiling up to 10, not just 1 to 3 or 1 to 20 or 1 to 50. So that's completely depend on you. Okay, if you want to display up to that count of numbers. So did you guys get the idea so far for this assignment? Number 1 and number 2. What about the others? Okay. All right. So great. So I will not answer number 3 anymore since this one is super simple. Okay. So all you need to do is change the formula into this one and then change the starting number from 4 and then the ending number is 10. And then it's incrementing by 0.2. Okay. So yeah, that's it for this assignment. Let's now proceed to the next one. So in here we have exit do, we have exit while, and then we have exit for. So before we don't have this one, but in here it's like we have another condition. Okay, so in here we have this condition wherein we already know that the minimum value or the starting point is 1 and then it will end at exactly 10. But since we have this condition right here wherein if x is already equal to 5, it will already end the loop or it will force close the loop. Okay, so meaning this will override this condition right here. Okay, because this condition were met, so we have to execute this exit do right here. So this one is for do while loop. Okay, so that is exit do. But for the exit while, okay, or the while and while, okay, we're going to use exit while. So we still have the same, just a different syntax, okay? So in here we have exit to, but in here we have exit while. So depending on the structure that you are using, okay? And then we also have exit for, which is for the for next structure. So again, instead of this one is going to loop 10 times, this will now only loop 5 times, okay? Because it will force close at exactly 5. All right. So all of those three are just the same. They have the same functionalities. It's just that they have their own syntax depending on the looping structure. Okay. So are we clear so far regarding with this additional function? Hello, 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 guys. You guys still around? Did you guys get this one? On what is this exit to do in this code right here? All right. Okay. So maybe you're wondering why we only have 3. We only have exit do, exit while, and then exit for, but we have a total of 6 looping structure. So that's because they don't have those kind of uh, exit statement or exit function. So if you want to force close something, then you can use for next structure. You can use while and while structure, and then do while loop structure. Okay. And then we have here another assignment wherein write a program that outputs the sum of the following using while looping statements. So let's do this one. Let me just get the created sample of this one. All right, so let me remove that one. And then in here we have write a program that outputs the sum of the following using while looping statements, wherein we have estimation from 1 to 100. Okay, so if we're going to search that one on the internet, uh, what is the summation of 1 to 100? So this will give us a result of 5050. So we should have the same output if we're going to do that one on the Visual Basic. So for us to be able to do that one, we have to declare two variables, the sum and then the counter. The counter is your a number, of course, that will count from 1 to 100. Okay, that is why it's being initialized right here. Of course, initially, you will start with 1 and then you will end at 100. Okay, and then for the sum, this is where we are going to store the values and every time that it's incrementing. So of course, initially the value per sum is 1. Okay, because that is the initial value, okay, which is the counter. And oops, right here we have to add the counter value. All right, so initially our value of counter is 1, so it will be placed in here. And then in here we now have a value of 1, so this one will increment by 1, so the counter now is 2, so 2 plus 1 is now a total of 3. Okay, so every time that we will increment, it will be added onto our last or the previous value. Okay, so with that, we'll be able to get the summation from 1 to 100. All right, and then whatever is the final result, okay, after this loop right here from 1 to 100, it will be displayed inside of a message box. Okay, so in here, this is already correct. So let's see if we have the same result. So we should, yeah. So we have a result of 5050, okay, which is the summation from 1 to 100. Okay, so that's the answer for the letter A. What about letter B? So still we have a range of number from 1 to 100, but in here now, I is divisible by 2. Okay, meaning we will start with 2, 4, 6, and then so on and so forth. So it's like basically we have even numbers only, ranging from 1 to 100. And then if you're going to search that one on the internet, we will get 2550, I guess, if I'm not, uh, if I'm correct, okay? If I'm not mistaken. So let's see. So in here, we can actually do some tricks. So for us to be able to display even numbers only, so we will start with 2, but still the ceiling number is 100, so that's the maximum. Okay, and then instead of incrementing by 1, we'll increment that 1 by 2, so that we can only have uh, even numbers. Okay, that is keep on counting or keep on incrementing. So let's see what is the result of this one. So in here we have, yeah, 2550. So just search this one on the internet or just solve this one using a certain formula. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that this was already discussed by your teachers before on how to get the summation of a certain uh, number. So yeah, that's it for the number 2. Can you guys follow so far for the letter A and letter B? Okay, great. What about the others? Do you guys have a question so far? All right. Okay, so if you guys don't have questions, so let's now proceed to letter C and D. So for the letter C, we have another formula right here wherein the number will be squared, okay, every time that it will increment. So initially is 1, so it's 1 squared, followed by 2 squared, 3 squared, until you reach the value of 10 squared. Okay, so let's do that one. So initial value is 1, ending value is 10, and the counter is still incrementing by 1. So in here, this one was being squared. So let's see what is the result. So we will get a value of 385. So that's the summation from 1 squared up to 10 squared. All right. And then for the last one, we have here 1 over 2i. Okay, so we're getting the summation of 1 half, 1 fourth, 1 sixth, and so on and so forth. So in here, all we need to do is put the counter, okay, 1 half, and then multiply this 1 by 2. And in here, we have a range of 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, and it's incrementing by 1, still by 1. All right, so let's see what is the result. So one more thing, you have to declare this one as a single, okay, not integer, because if you will declare that one as an integer, then you will not be able to display if it has a decimal point. So in here, we have declared this one as single so that we can see what is the decimal point. So in here, we're having a result of 7. Is this correct? 7.5. Isn't it that we should be getting 1 half plus 1 fourth? Yeah, I think it's correct. One. It's like it's not correct. Let me just check. 1 half plus 1 fourth plus 1 sixth plus 1 eighth plus 1 over 10. This one is incorrect. The correct answer is 1.14. Okay, let me just check what happened right here. I see. So as you guys can see, this one right here, we have 1 half, but this one is being multiplied on the numerator. So what we want is this counter should be at the denominator. Okay, so let's revise this one into something like this. There you go. So that we can have a numerator times numerator and then denominator times denominator. So yeah, there you go. So this is the correct answer, 1.141667. All right. So were you guys able to follow for this assignment right here? Okay. All right, so great. So again, if ever that you have a question, so feel free to ask me anytime, okay? All right, so let's now proceed to exercise number 9. So in here, we're being asked to make a program that computes the distance a body falls in feet per second for the first 5 seconds of the free fall as given by the equation. Okay, so for the distance, we have this formula, 1 half times acceleration times time squared. So this distance right here is in feet, okay? And we have here the expected output, wherein if we're going to do that one manually, we have 1 to 5 right here for the first 5 seconds. And then we have here the equivalent distance traveled after 1 second, after 2 seconds, after 3 seconds, and so on and so forth. All right. And then here's the code for this one. So again, I just declared 2 variable, okay, because those are the only outputs that we need. We have the time, which is the first column, and then we have the dist or distance for the second column, and then we have we always have this function. This will never be begun. Okay, so we must always have a that clear function for us to be able to clear the items inside of the data grid view before it will display the values or variables. All right, and then we have here the titles. So as usual, if we say columns, okay, those are the titles. We have time in seconds, and then we have distance in feet, okay, and then the values below them, okay. So here's the values for time. So it's ranging from 1 to 5 right here. And then we have the formula for distance, which is 1 half times 32 times time raised to 2. So this 32 right here is a default value of acceleration. So you can recall that one if you have already finished your physics. or you can just simply search that one on the internet for you to be able to check if it's really 32 or no. Okay, and then in here we are now displaying the values row by row. Okay, so that is why we are declaring here that rows that add. Okay, so for the first column and then the second column, and then we are formatting the result of the distance right here. So that is why we are having a fixed value of 2 decimals, and even though it doesn't really have a decimal, it is showing a 0.00. Okay, that's the function of this fixed value right here for the letter F. All right, and then of course it's incrementing by 1. Okay, so that we can see all of the values from 1 to 5. So for this one, exercise number 9, let me just show to you guys the result. So I have the same code, I just copied whatever we have in here, and then I have the same components, a button and then a data grid view. So let's test this program. So calculate. So in my case, I have a time from 1 to 10, not 1 to 5. And then of course, this is the corresponding distance traveled. So 9 is already 1,296 feet. And then 10 is 1,600. All right. So that's it for this example or exercise number 9. So is this clear so far? So if you're not getting it, like what's happening with this code right here? So you might want to try this one on your own. So just try to copy this one and then paste it on your Visual Studio, make it work, and then try to make some changes. Just for you to be able to appreciate what are things that you can do and you cannot do in here. Okay, as long as you're following the correct syntax, and I think you're good to go. Okay, you can expand this more if you wanted. Okay, you can add another columns, you can add more formulas, more computations, and so on and so forth. But anyway, yeah, that's it for the exercise number 9. And then we have here exercise number 10, which is much more complicated than the previous example. So the x and y coordinates as function of time p of a projectile fired with an initial velocity v at an angle theta with respect to the ground is given by this formula right here. So for the distance traveled, we have velocity times time times cosine times theta. And then for the height, okay, which is y, so it's equal to velocity times time times sine times theta minus 1 half gt squared, or gravity times time squared. So using these formulas, write code that allows the user to input for the initial velocity, let's say 350 meter per second, at an angle, say 25 degrees. So we have here an initial values, let's say, just for saying that we have this result right here, but you can put any acceleration or velocity that you want, okay? And then you can also put any degrees that you want, okay, for the angle. So display a table of x, which is the distance traveled, and y, which is the height values for a projectile fired at a time interval 0 to the total time of light. Okay, that is t is equal to 2 times voltage, 2 times velocity times sine theta divided by gravity. Okay, seconds with increment of 1/2 second. So hint, remember to convert to radian measure. So uh, in here we have the sample output. Okay, we have the initial input, initial angle, and then we have here the computed time of flight. Okay, and then the expected output. So for us to be able to come up with this one, so all you need to do is analyze this solution right here. So we have declared a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 variables. Okay, so for these 6 variables, so we have declared that one as single because so if it's single, then it can maybe, okay, there's a possibility that it will display a decimal. And then for the letter G, this one is actually a fixed value, which is gravity is equal to 9.81. So that's the gravity here on Earth. So if you're doubting the value of this one, so feel free to search this one on the internet. So G is equal to 9.81. And then we have these two inputs right here, wherein the text box 1 is the velocity, and then the angle is coming from text box 2. All right, and then again, we have this clear function right here, and then we have the titles, and then their corresponding values, and then the formula for t flight. So where this one came from? It came from the instruction itself. So t flight, or t, is equal to 2 times velocity times sine theta divided by g, which is now this one, 2 times velocity times mat that sine radians angle divided by g. So if you guys are going to take a look at this one, so it says radians, so we must multiply this angle right here to mat that pi divided by 180. Okay, so that's the way for us to be able to obtain a radian uh, value, okay, of an angle. And then we have here the text box tree, the text wherein it's displaying whatever is the result in here. It will be displayed on our text box tree, the text, okay, PT flight. Then again, we have a format right here. So again, if you're still not familiar with the format, so just go back with our module 7. So just look for the table about formats. You will see there the fixed format, N1, N2, 0.00, 0.000, format for dates, format for a peso sign, dollar sign, and so on and so forth. Okay, so N2 meaning we are only getting 2 decimals. Okay, just like what we have in here. Okay, and then the same for the flight. And then we have the continuation of the solution. So we now have here the looping. Okay, so initially we'll start with 0, and then we'll now compare that one if it's already lesser or equal to the t flight. So in here, if it's not equal with the t flight value, it will never stop looping. But once it is equal to the t flight value or less than, then that's the time that it will stop looping. So we have here the formula for the distance. So again, it came from the instruction itself. This one right here. It's cosine theta. And for the height, we have sine. Okay, mat that sine right here. So for the radian, again, we have to multiply that one into mat that pi divided by 180. Okay, and then we in here we have here the values for every row. So the first one is the time, followed by the distance, and then followed by the format followed by the height. Okay, and then we have formatted for the result of this one, so we're getting fixed value, okay, or the 2 decimals only. And then for the time, it's incrementing by 0.5. Okay, so where this one came from, it came from the instruction itself. So 1/2 second. Okay, and we have here additional. Okay, so in here this will display the final value or the final row. Okay, because if we only have this loop, okay, this will never show the 0, okay, 0 height of the row. So that's the reason why we have like additional, okay, competition right here, which is outside the looping. Okay, so this will compute for the final row. So you will see later on what is this for. But anyway, for this one, let me just open my new project. Should be open project, and this is number 10. Number 10. All right, so whatever we have in there is the same with what I have in here. So for the radian, again, we just have to multiply the angle into mat that pi divided by 180. Okay, and then the rest are the same. Okay, except for the naming of data grid view. So just change that one into whatever is the name of your data grid view right here. And then for the interface, of course, I've just copied whatever is in there. So we have three labels, four labels. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 text box, and then 1 button, and then a data grid view. So let me show to you guys the result. So let's say 350, and then 25. So we have the same result. So time of flight is a total of 30.17. So it is the final value of this one, okay, for the time of flight. Okay, so it will only stop if it's already equal, okay, with this one right here, 30.16655. And then for the final row, okay, where is that one right here? Okay, for the final row, so it's being computed by this one, okay. So if we don't have that additional competition right here, we will not be able to see this 0.00 right here. All right, so that is the reason why we have this one outside the loop. Okay, because if it's not, then it will only reach up to 30, which is 24.50. And then if you want to get the peak value, so it's at the middle, which is 15. Okay, so we have 1115 is this meters or feet or whatever's the unit. So this is the peak that it reached, and then the total distance traveled is 9,569.06. Okay, and then the time of flight is 30.17. So yeah, that's it for this example. So were you guys able to follow so far? So it's okay if you didn't get this one. So I know that this one is quite complicated, but if you want to understand this one, so your only choice is to do this one on your own. So you have to redo this one using your own Visual Studio and then play with it. Try to change maybe the name of your variables. Try to change this one into entry for you to be able to get the 3 decimals, and then try to change maybe the formula of the distance, formula of height, and so on and so forth. So whatever you can do, just play with it. Okay, with that you'll be able to learn more on how this code right here work. All right, so that's it for now for the part one. So we don't have enough time anymore, so we'll just continue the rest on the part two. So goodbye for now and see you guys later. Continue now. All right, so for the next one, we have the exercise number 11. So given different values, assume all are integers listed in the list box. Determine the sum of all the values. So in here, we're just simply displaying the things that we can do inside of a list box. So if this one happened, let's say we have let's say an array or a numbers, okay, inside of the list box, we can actually get the summation of that one. So we can do that one by fetching the row by row. So we have this function right here for us to be able to get the items. Okay, we have the items that count. So with that, we'll be able to fetch the values, okay, inside of it, row by row. So in here we just declared two variable, the total and then the counter. So the counter is for the starting point and then the ending point of this one, and then the total is this is where we put the summated value of whatever is the summated value of this one. So it's being displayed on this text box right here. Okay, so yeah, so let me just show this one to you guys real quick. So for this one, we have, let's see, I have these values right here. So if I click start and then hit compute, it will give me a result of 1979. So of course you can remove one or you can add more, okay, by going to the properties of this one and then go to items and then collection, and then let's say you wanted to add 50,000, okay, and then let's see negative 20,000. So just hit OK and then hit start, and then okay, wait a second. then hit compute, and then it will give you the summated value of this one, 31,979. So again, whatever we have in this code right here, I just copy this one so you can try to add more if you want. You can experiment, you can try to modify. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the exercise number 11. And then for these exercises right here, so this is where you guys should focus, because not actually most, maybe 15 items, only 10 to 15 items, we have this kind of questions in your final exam. Okay, so in here, tell how many times does each of the following loops iterate, and what is the final value of the variable x in each case. Okay, so we have two answers per number. So we have to find how many times your x, or this code right here, will iterate, and then what is the final value, okay, of your x. So let's use a notepad. So anyone in the class, how many times do you guys think this number one will loop? Anyone? How many times this number one will loop, or how many times will it iterate? So coming from Miss Eunice, so she said that it's 7. What about the others? What are your guess? 7. We have an initial value of 5 and then ending point of 30, and it's only incrementing by 1. 6. What about the others? Miss Kezal, Miss Bato, or Mr. Miss Pertible? Are you there? Okay, John. 5. What about you, Miss Renean? What is your answer or guess with your number one? Walang tama sa inyo. Naku, paano na yan? Wala kayong makukuha dito. There you go. So the correct answer is 26. So coming from Miss Eunice. So why 26? So again, we've started with 5 and then it's incrementing by 1. So the next one is of course 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So of course you have to check if the condition were true since we're using while. So 10 is still lesser than 30, so it will still loop until it reached the value of 30. Okay, or 31 actually. Okay, once it reached the value of 31, the statement now is false, so it will now stop looping in there. So if you're going to count that one starting from 5 to 30, so it will give you a value of 26. So why 26? Because we started with 5. So it's like 30 minus 5 plus 1. All right. So 30 minus 5 plus 1. So 30 minus 5 is 25. So it will be plus 1 since we started with the initial value, okay, or initial number. So this will loop 26 times, and then the final value, okay, of our x is 30. Okay, so I hope you guys can answer now the number 2 correctly. Oops. So what about number 2? Ganun, nagloloko na talaga yung mouse ko. I think I need to buy a new one. So initial value is 10 and final value is 50, but it's incrementing by 5. So how many times this will loop? Ang tatlo. Ang layo naman ng 3. 45, ang dami naman ng 45 na yan. Okay, so 8 is incorrect. What about the others? Try to recheck. Kaya gumagamit ako notepad kasi it's really quite confusing, especially if it's not incrementing by 1 anymore. What about you, Miss Eunice? What is your answer regarding with this one? So coming from Mr. Joshua, it's 10. So 10 is incorrect. Huh? Ang layo yata ng 19. Okay, so let's do this one. All of us. So initially the value is 10, so it's incrementing by 5. So the next value is 15, 20, 25, 30, and then of course you have to check. So 30 is still less than 50. So if it's true, then you can still proceed. 35, 40, 45, and then 50. So can we proceed to 55? So 55 is already not less than or equal to 50, so it's already false. Okay, so we will not include 50 anymore. So we will stop at exactly 50. So from here, you can now count how many times this one loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. Okay, so this will loop 9 times, and the final value is 50. All right. So I hope that one is clear. Bumibitaw-bitaw. Look. Okay, so the correct answer is 9 times, and then the final value is 50. What about number 3? So we now have a post test right here, and then we are now using until. Okay, so what do we say again? If it's until, it will only loop if we have a false statement, and then it will stop if we have a true. Why false statement? If we have a false condition, okay, and then it will only stop if we already have a true condition. Okay. Anyone? What is your answer with number 3? Dito ka. All right, that's okay. Okay, you can always go back, at the first 10 slides to explain there what is the functionality of do while, do loop while, okay, do loop until, do until. So we have 6 kinds of structures. Okay, so just go back there and then you will know how that looping structure works. So, kailangan alam mo talaga kung ano ba, dapat true ba yung condition, false ba yung condition bago siya mag-execute, magpro-proceed ba siya o hindi. Alright, so for this one, our initial value is 60, so check. 60 is equal to 40. So, 60 is equal to 40, so false. So, it will loop, okay, at a value of 60. And it's decrementing by 10. Okay, so the next value is 50. So is 50 equal to 40? So it is still false, right? So that is why it will still loop at a value of 50. But what about 40? 40 is equal to 40. It's already a true condition. Will it loop or no?
No, sir.
Okay, so if it's no, then you don't need to include that one anymore. So you will stop at 50. So it will loop 2 times. Itong mouse na to. Highlight. It will loop 2 times, and then the final value is 50. All right. So let's just recall again. If we have while, so for this to be able to execute or loop, you must have a true condition. So hanggat true yung condition mo, maglo-loop pa rin siya. And then mag-i-stop lang siya kapag false condition na. And then for the until, okay, so it will only loop if we have a false condition. Okay, so kabaliktaran lang siya ng while. And then it will stop looping if we have already a true condition. Okay, so ganun lang siya. Alright. Lolo ko talaga tong mouse ko. Right, anyway. How about number 4? How many times it will loop? Two. What about the others? 3. 2 is incorrect. 3 is incorrect. 1 is incorrect also. Okay, so again, check the condition. So we have until. So our initial value is 100, right? So 100 is greater than 70. So at the very first, we already have a true condition. Wherein, again, if we have the structure until, it will only execute if we have a false condition. But in here, we have already, at the very first of the looping, we already have a true condition. So this will never loop. Okay? And then for the final value, it's unknown since it never loop. We don't know the value. Alright? So, dun pa lang, wala na siya. Okay? Hindi na siya nag-loop. Anyway, so I hope medyo nakukuha nyo na. We have more examples right here. What about number 5? Anyone? Starting at 15, ending at 45, incrementing by 5. And then it will stop once the x is already higher or equal to 30. Forget that. Okay, so we'll see. 4, 6. What about the others? What are your guesses? 6 also. Okay, let's see. Okay, starting at 15 and it's incrementing by 5. Okay, so we'll get 30. So check. Is 15 less than or equal to 45? So yes, so it will still loop since we have a while structure right here. So for while, it will only loop if we have a true condition. So 20, 25, so 25 is still less than 45. But in here, we now have reached 30, wherein it says here that once we've reached 30 or 30 is already, or x is already equal to 30, then it will exit the looping. So in here, 30 is not included anymore because that's the point where it will force close the looping or it will stop looping. So in here, we only have 3 times of loop, and then the final value is 25. Okay, so 7 is incorrect. So this will loop 3 times, and then the final value is 25. Alright, so hindi pa rin yata clear. Well, anyway, that's okay. Just do a lot of practice. Just visit a lot of other websites which has a lot of activity when it comes to looping structures. So what about number 6? How many times number 6 will loop? Five? Okay, so maybe you're right. Okay, so maybe you're right if you are only looking at this condition. But then again, check. We have here a condition wherein if x is greater than 75, wherein our initial value is 100. So 100 is already greater than 75. Okay, so basically at the very first of the loop, it will already stop looping. So this will never loop, and then the value is again unknown. Okay, so it's like when we have this exit do right here or exit while, this will override the condition right here. Okay, so if this is already true, then it will close right away, or it will exit looping right away. Okay, so I hope you guys get the number 6. So what about number 7? So what are your answers? Mr. Dad, Miss De Vera, hello, dyan pa ba kayo? Okay, 5 coming from Miss Patricia, 2 coming from Miss Atangin. What about the others? Wala pang tumatama. 1, 7, wala pang tumatama. Okay, so if you guys are going to take a look on this one, so until, right? So kapag until, dapat false yung condition. So 75 is less than or equal to 10. So yes, it's false. Okay, so it will loop. Okay, you can count that one as your first loop. Okay, and then it's incrementing by 10. Okay, so the next one is 85. Okay, so 85 is still false with this one, so that you can count that one's another part of your loop. Okay, but maybe you will realize that it will never stop looping. Okay, because it will really never make this statement true. Oops. Okay, it will never make this statement true. So 85, 95, 105, 115, and so on and so forth. So that is why the answer for the number 7 is infinite. Okay, and then for the final values, of course we don't know. Let's just say infinite because it will never stop looping. Okay, so there's a possibility that it will never loop, and there's also possibility that we have an infinite loop. All right. So did you guys get that one? All right. Okay, so konti pa. Maintindihan nyo na to. What about number 8? How many times that one will loop? Hello? Hello? Mga answer na ba kayo? Finally! So the answer of Mr. Dan is correct. So this will never loop. Okay, that's because initially, 100 is already greater than 70. And then again, if we have until, this will only loop if we have a false condition. So the very first, it's already a true condition, so it will never loop. And the value or the final value is none. All right, so very good, Mr. Dan. I hope the others get this one also. Okay. So for the number 9, we're now going to use the for next structure. So how many times the number 9 will loop? Okay, so yeah, that's correct. So it will loop 11 times. So if you're going to list that one from 0 to 10, so the total times that it will loop is 11. And then if, you know, uh, as you can see, we don't have a step value right here. So if the step value is not indicated, by default, it will increment by 1. All right, so that is why it's incrementing by 1. So that's why we have 11 uh, total of loopings. And then the final value is 10. What about number 10? Yeah, that's correct. So 6 is correct. So 0, 0, oops, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. So just count that one. We have a total of 6 loopings. All right. 6, and then the final value is 10. Okay. Yes. Correct answer is 6, Miss Eunice. So I hope the others can follow. Can you guys follow so far? Miss Rene Ann, Miss Gazel, and Miss Pertible. Okay. Okay, very good. Miss Patricia, Miss Pertible, and Miss Atangan. So wala yata si Miss Rene Ann. Anyway, how about number 11? Okay. So yeah, just review this one, Miss Rene Ann. So the correct answer is 11, so that is correct. And then the final value is, of course, 0. All right, so just recheck this one. This will group 11 times, and then the final value is 0. Okay, it's decrementing by 2. What about number 12? Okay, very good. So yun, nakuha nyo na. Finally, at the very last item. So this will loop 5 times and then the final value is what? Dapat ganito na exam. Meron naman mga 15 items yata. Or 10 to 15 items. Okay, the final value is 12. So yeah, that's it for the module 9. So again, we will not discuss the following topics anymore since we don't have that much time left. So the coverage of your final exam is module 7, module 8, and then module 9. So for the module 9, up to whatever we have just covered, okay? Up to this point only. Slide 42, okay? So entire module 7, entire module 8, and then module 9, just partial, 1 to 42 only. So yeah, that's it for our class for this CompEpi. This is already our last meeting. So I would like you guys to use our remaining meetings for you to be able to finish the activities or quizzes which I gave to you. All right. So do you guys have a question so far or clarification? This is now your final chance to ask this one via a live Zoom meeting. Laging walang nagtatanong sa inyo kapag Zoom meeting. Mas mabilis nga dito kasi madedemo ko agad, masasabi ko agad. Maraming katanungan kapag puro sa inbox na. So ang kadalasan nun, saka lang makapagre-reply after 5 hours, 10 hours after 1 day. And then, ayun, ang hirap pang ipaliwanag kasi nagta-type ka tapos paano ko papakita yung image o mag-attach pa ako ng picture. So, mas mabilis dito kasi, nakikita nyo na kagad yung screen ko eh. Step by step pa. So, mas madali. Well, anyway, so, wala talaga kayong question? Well, kung wala, then congrats. Maybe naintindihan mo naman lahat or natapos mo na siguro yung mga activities. Oh, yes, Miss Ranian. Ano yun? Okay, baka nagtatype. What about the others? Do you guys have a question? So if you don't have a question anymore, so you may now go. Okay. And then if ever that you have the questions, just again feel free to message me anytime. Okay.
Bye, sir.
Goodbye, and again, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, and thank you too. Error, this template attempted to load component assembly. Bakit nasa C# ka? Just use Visual Basic. Can you share your screen right now? Okay. Goodbye, Miss Quezal. Can you share your screen right now, Miss Ranian? Kasi dapat hindi C#. Mag-umpisa ka dapat Windows. Sir, sa last quiz, nag+2 lang ako para makuha odd numbers. Okay lang po ba? Yeah. What important is you're showing me the correct output. Okay? So, marami tayong ways. Pwede nyo dayain. Actually, ganun nga lang ginagawa eh. Daya-daya lang yan sa mga codes. Okay? Hindi mo kailangan ng napakagandang algorithms. Basta tama yung lumalabas na result. Okay? So, let me just share my screen, Ms. Renian. Alright. So, if you're going to create a project, I hope we have the same version. Could be 2019 or 2015. So I think medyo the same lang naman. So it should be Windows Forms app.NET Framework, and then take note, it should be Visual Basic. Okay, so parehas lang din naman yon. Meron siyang desktop, meron ding Windows, but in here, you have a different language. So the one that you're using is, I guess, C or C++, but in here, it should be Visual Basic. Okay, so dapat ito yung gagamitin mo. Kasi dito, we have actually five pa nga eh. So the project name, okay, and then the solution wherein you will not touch this one anymore. And then the location which you also have. And yeah, and then the framework. Okay, you don't also need to touch this one. So all you need to touch is the project name and then the location. Okay, so try again, Mr. Ranian. Baka iba kasi yun. Okay, sige, sige. Alright, so you're welcome. So any other concerns? So we still have 2 minutes and 50 seconds. How about you, Miss Eunice?
None, sir. Bye, sir.
Alright, so goodbye, and again, thank you guys for coming. Goodbye.